Hi guys, welcome to day 201. Lots has changed since I last made a video. I've been really diving into the education with EmmanuelTrades, and this day was probably one of my favorite days in a very long time. Not because of the P&L, but because I absolutely followed the trading plan to a T. The execution was fantastic. My trade management when I was in the positions was great. I've scaled my risk back so far until my execution can meet the confidence. So once I have the confidence that I have good trade management and I trade execution, when those two things line up and I'm taking quality setups, there's no reason why I won't be successful. So what I'm trying to do right now is dial way back on risk and just allow myself to prove that I can handle the pressure at my current risk level. Once I prove to myself over a long enough period of time that I was really good with trade execution and trade management, then I can move forward with upping my risk. Now this is something that EmmanuelTrades teaches in his course, and I have really appreciated it. So this is TradeZilla. I really like TradeZilla. I highly recommend it if you're an avid trader to get TradeZilla. And I'm just going to show you guys the first trade I took on the day, which was a Walmart long. Now, as you can see on the chart here, this is when I entered the position, so a break of this level. This was really choppy, okay? And the criteria was like 20% of the criteria that I have to enter this setup was met. So I by no means should have been entering this trade. It was probably a FOMO trade. But nonetheless, I entered it with small size, 1/5 of my daily max risk. And my stop loss was right here, which I did not move, and I exited once it hit my stop loss. And I'm very happy I did so, because guess what? It dumped like another 100% of where I would have had my stop. So I actually entered the position on QQQ with a break of this high, and I was looking for a retest of this level. Now the problem with this trade is that my stop loss was underneath this low with a break of this high. So my stop loss had a 50-cent risk on the trade. So I had a very big stop, and it didn't really equate to what I was going to potentially make. So it wasn't a 2R trade, and I'm not supposed to enter trades that are not at least 2Rs. So that was a failed entry. That was kind of another FOMO trade. Also, this setup alone is not something I trade. So it was a random trade, and I documented that in TradeZilla that it is a random trade and I shouldn't have taken it. I only risked 1/5 of my daily max on this trade. So my stop loss was a break of this low, and boom, we broke underneath and I got stopped out of that trade. All right, so on Walmart, this was my favorite trade of the day. I had an interesting position with very small share size I entered here. Now, my reasoning for entering here was we broke this resistance level. I almost got stopped out of that share size. Then I saw this candle right here. So this tiny little doji candle hit the 9 EMA, also hit the 20, and held with a decent amount of buying volume. Not only that, but at the same time, QQQ was recovering, and it was showing the same signs as NVIDIA. So I entered heavier here. Now, you could say I averaged down on this position, but I was only risking another $10. So this was I was only risking another 1/5 of the total daily max loss, right? My stop loss on this trade was so tight. So my stop loss was 209.08 on this trade. And my entry was just above the high of that doji candle. So I was willing to stomach another $10 loss because of the confidence in the trade on this candle, a break below this candle. That's how confident I was that QQQ was going to reverse at this point. So let's watch how the trade panned out. So we had a break of this high, so both my positions are in profit at this point. I sold at this level. So from here to here was a 2R trade. So my stop loss, both positions together I made a 2R trade. So that was a fantastic trade. I was really happy with how I managed this trade. And once I got to 1R, so once I was in the green, a 1R trade, I moved my stop loss to break even. Let's say I risked $1, right? When I was up $1, I moved my stop loss to break even. So no matter what, I'm not going to lose on the position. After that, I managed the position fairly tight. We ended up holding this level right here pretty nicely, this doji candle. So once we hit this, I was up 1R. And we started pushing higher here. I moved my stop loss to below this doji candle. Then this candle stopped, and the next one formed, started pushing. So I moved my stop loss to the bottom of, or bottom of this candle. Right here, there was lots of volume there, and then we had a spike in selling. So when I saw that, I trailed my stop like 10 or so cents. I think it was, yeah, a couple cents behind, and then ended up getting out of that position. And if we can see right here, it ended up reversing from here back to a 1R trade. So overall, long video, kind of a long explanation of what happened today, but the biggest takeaway today is I risked what I said I was going to risk, and I stuck to the trading plan, I stuck to the execution, stuck to everything I said I was going to, which I am the happiest about, and it ended up being green on the day. When you risk 2 to 1 in a trade, you can lose more times than you're right. You can lose more times than you win, because you're only risking 1 and then you're trying to gain the 2. So a lot of blabbing there. I'll probably condense this video down, but day 201 has to be one of the most eye-opening days of my 200 some days trading. Thanks for watching, guys.